Giannis Antetokounmpo might go down as a one-and-done superstar if he doesn't win another ring. The two-time MVP and eight-time All-Star is currently in the prime of his career, yet is still so far from winning his second Finals MVP. He will definitely go down as one of the most dominant players to ever touch the court, but might also go down as a player who can't finish the job. After the 2021 ring, he got bounced out in the second round by Jason Tatum, and in 2023, Jimmy Butler humiliated his entire team. And as for 2024, he was injured and couldn't even play in the first round of the playoffs. He hasn't been winning at all recently, and a lot of people are starting to talk down on his legacy. In the span of 4 seasons, he went from being a champion to now being the 5th seed with Kyle Kuzma on his team. But legacies can be saved by just having a really good piece next to your star. Kyrie assisted LeBron in 2016, Pau helped Kobe in the late 2010s, Michael Jordan had Pippen throughout his dynasty, and Stephen Curry had Jordan Poole. It's obvious that Dame isn't the correct piece for Giannis since he needs to be surrounded by role players. So what if, out of nowhere, a character from Zenless Zone Zero managed to become real? And what if they were to join the Milwaukee Bucks? Well, if that character was Evelyn, then Giannis Antetokounmpo could go down as one of the greatest of all time.
Bro, I'll tell you what, you fat little cunt, you bro. Keep a horn on the back of my seat. I peep ownership, the blueprint is by me. Mr. Get Off, I get off at my feet.
Before we theorize about an anime girl saving an NBA career, we have to first talk about what Giannis has done leading up to this point. As stated previously, he is a 2-time MVP, 8-time All-Star, and 2021 Finals MVP. And his run in 2021 is being called a Mickey Mouse run by some people. In the first round, Milwaukee went up against the Miami Heat, who were previously in the finals the year before. However, the Bucks handed belt to ass and swept the Heat with barely any contest, even so much as winning by 34 in Game 2. The biggest asterisk is in the second round against the Brooklyn Nets. As we all know, KD, Kyrie, and James Harden teamed up this season, and a lot of people were expecting them to win the chip this year. Brooklyn went up 2-0 in the series, but the Bucks kept fighting and pushed the series to Game 7. But in this Game 7 was the very famous incident where Kevin Durant's shoe was on the 3-point line during his game-winning shot. If this counted as a 3-pointer, the Nets would have made it past the second round, but it didn't, and they ended up having to go to overtime where the Bucks would come out on top. And in the conference finals, they went up against Trae Young and some other players. Cam Reddish was a starter on this team, I don't think I need to say much. But basically, Atlanta shouldn't have even been here if Ben Simmons just shot the basketball, literally scored 5 points in a Game 7. Had the Sixers made the Eastern Conference Finals, Milwaukee would have been up for a way bigger challenge, since Giannis would probably be tired from having to guard Embiid and Simmons all the time. The Hawks' run was kind of also seen as a fluke, so the Bucks basically just had a free pass into the finals. It isn't necessarily the finals performance from Giannis that people doubt, since he still absolutely dominated the Suns in 6 games. 50 points to close out a finals run was an absolute masterclass from the Greek Freak, and anyone who says otherwise is really just hating. However, the issue is that Giannis hasn't proven that he can do it again. The fact that he hasn't shown his ability to carry is the exact reason why people think the Nets would have won had KD's shoe size been an inch smaller. Hence also why Giannis is kind of a fraud nowadays. Even his MVPs aren't safe from slander. While his 2019 MVP wasn't contested by most people,
he's averaging 40! He's dropped 35, 29, 50, 42, 43, 57.
There's a fairly sized community that feels LeBron James should have won MVP over Giannis during the bubble season. And you know your legacy isn't secure when nearly 30, 14, and 6 isn't enough to convince people to choose you over a 36-year-old dude. Again, he's being labeled as a one-and-done star who became a champion but was just never able to replicate the same level of success. So let's say, in order to save his legacy, Adam Silver decided to genetically clone Evelyn from Zenless Zone Zero and put her on the Bucks in order to give Giannis a few more titles. To put the Greek Freak's new teammate into perspective, we'll firstly take a look at her physical attributes. She stands extremely undersized at 5'8", but somehow is able to run around in heels. Evelyn is able to sustain a fall from around 3 stories high and still do a backflip off 3 more stories. Her background also involves numerous assassinations, and the character demo shows us that she knows how to handle a stick. Pairing this up with her near perfect accuracy with a whip and ability to use throwing knives, and we can easily assume that she would be a really good scorer. Not only would she be able to score from all levels, but she would definitely be the fastest player to ever touch the court, along with having an insane vertical jump. For comparison, she would basically be a mixture of Spud Webb and prime Isaiah Thomas. Again, undersized guard with perfect scoring skills. Defensively, she wouldn't be as bad as you'd think first glance. We've seen what Yuki Kawamura can do on defense as a small player, so I don't think Evelyn would be slowing down at all. Despite being 4 inches shorter than the usual NBA guard, her speed, hustle, along with being locked in would not slow her down at all. This doesn't make it impossible to score around her, but it doesn't make buckets automatic. Say for example, Trae Young is her matchup. Obviously, Trae would be difficult to guard because of how far out he likes to play, which is a very big counterplay to Evelyn's physicality. To compare Evelyn, a small scoring guard in today's NBA would be someone like Jalen Brunson. And lo and behold, Brunson and Trae literally just had a game. The results were a Knicks win by 1 point in overtime. During this game, both of the star guards were being defended by way taller dudes that play good defense. Dyson was on Brunson while Mikhail was on Young. An important thing to note about today's NBA is that matchups are positionless nowadays. With these small non-defensive guards, the best option is to either put them up against the guy defending them or a guy that only passes. This way, their matchup will either always be tired or someone they don't even have to work to defend. But at the same time, the defense doesn't matter if the offense is just way too good. In this same game, Dyson Daniels was playing pretty good clutch defense against Brunson, but being a good scorer is way stronger than being a good defender. For this same reason, I feel like Evelyn could stand her ground against teams even if she's really small compared to all of them. Think of her as like Brunson and Young if they decided to shave off height in order to get better attributes. And I'm pretty sure that Evelyn would be a really good passer and smart enough to know that if there's a 7-foot center in front of her, the ball should probably get passed over to Giannis. Speaking of which, it's time to talk about how she would impact the Bucks, and specifically Giannis. Now, if she were to be on this team, the number one thing to do for the front office would be to trade Dame as soon as possible. Not to say that he's a bad player, it's just that 1, he doesn't fit with Giannis, and 2, Evelyn would take his role. Of course, it's possible to make them work, it's just that trading Lillard would make things a whole lot easier. And if they are to trade him, they would need 2 things in return: a lengthy defensive 2 and a stretch 5. Maybe also a small forward that isn't named Kyle Kuzma, but I think that's too much for one trade. For the guard, they would need someone like Alex Caruso, Dyson Daniels, Marcus Smart, or DeJounte Murray. And the center would be someone similar to Miles Turner, Al Horford, Vucevic, or alternatively keep Brook Lopez and hope to God that his back doesn't collapse during a game. Basically, just get role players that can cover the weaknesses of both Evelyn and Giannis. Afterwards, it's time to answer the question of who gets the ball. And the answer is actually Giannis. As much as I believe in the potential of dimes from Evelyn, I feel like slashing from Giannis is just way stronger. Of course, both of them will have the ball, but the freak is basically unmatched when it comes to the paint. He's literally the only person to be fucking with Wemby under the basket. This man is different when it comes to dominance. As for Evelyn's role, think of her as like Kobe in the early 2000s minus the all-NBA level defense. It's not that crazy to think that she would fit well with Giannis, but it does end up making her the sidekick, which is honestly perfect for Giannis' legacy. And of course, her impact doesn't necessarily have to be on the court. We have seen her sensitive side, so her chemistry with the Greek Freak would definitely be really good. And we also know for a fact that Giannis is really fucking horny. So off the court, if ever Giannis is having a bad stretch, she could just... Now, as for finals, I do believe that this team would easily be a championship farm. Say that everything I went over were to happen. The Bucks would definitely make the finals in 2026, but I'm not sure about 2025 since Dame isn't tradable. If you ask me, I'd say they make it to the conference finals and then get whooped by the Celtics super team. After this, they go on to make the finals until Giannis hits 35. This means that they will be competing for championships until the end of the decade, during which time their possible opponents are the Thunder, the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Spurs, and maybe the Timberwolves because I'm an Ant Glazer. If they match up against the Nuggets or the Wolves, it's an easy win for them. They'll need a lot of defense to win against the Lakers, especially if LA finds a way to get a center, but I think it'll be a winnable series. If LeBron is still somehow kicking during these years, he'll be like 44 running around the court with a fucking walking stick. And Luka was in the finals before, but just can't carry his team to a ring. It pains me to say this, but Bucks in 6. As for the Thunder and the Spurs, there's a few X factors. Firstly, does OKC still have all their key young players, and will the Spurs have enough role players? If OKC has J-Dub to put against Evelyn, then the series will be a pretty hard fought. As for the Spurs, if Wemby does develop into the GOAT, then Giannis is gonna have to break his back in order to guard him. And remember, he still has to score after all that shit. But in these 5 years of being in the finals, I think that the Bucks would make it out with at least 3 rings, all of them coming in the first 3 years. I see the finals matchups for each year being the Lakers, then OKC, Spurs back-to-back, and then the Lakers again. I think Giannis would overpower Wemby in their first matchup, matchup, but then gets his shit knocked into him in the next one. And as for the second Lakers matchup, they aren't guarding the white boys and the James gang all at once, so this is a win for LA. But this still means that Giannis would end his career with 4 finals MVPs and a 3-peat. It's still possible for him to be in the running for regular season MVPs, but that would need me to take into account literally every star and development at the same time, so hell no. Either way, this would be a pretty good list of accolades and would easily secure him a spot in the Hall of Fame. And in the GOAT debate, he would easily be a top 10 player and debatably top 5. Evelyn, on the other hand, while assisting him in all those rings, might accidentally end up like a Scottie Pippen to Giannis's MJ. Basically having people say that this guy couldn't win because this guy was also pretty good. But honestly, that doesn't matter since they still won all those rings. Evelyn just played her part in the run, leading me to believe that if anime characters were real, we should just have them play basketball. Evelyn is so fucking bad, by the way. Zenless went from being my least played Hoyo game to now being the only one that I actively enjoy playing. For one, Genshin is in the gutter, and two, who is playing Star Rail in February? Also, if the Bucks were to keep Dame, they would probably still win, but maybe only 2 championships. Remember, this guy still plays better when Zenless releases a character. I hope you all enjoyed this video. And if you did, consider leaving a like and subscribing. And until next time.